Welcome to the Extraordinary Executives Podcast, where business owners like you share their experiences, insight, and lessons learned. So grab your cup of coffee or tea and get ready for an engaging conversation. Here's your host, Randy Jones.
Welcome to another episode of the Extraordinary Executives Podcast Show. Today, we have an exciting, phenomenal guest, Miss Jamie Adams, the operations manager of Paisley Jade, a specialty rental company. She has an eye for the unique, a style that represents beauty, and a heart for creativity, but most importantly, she's an extraordinary executive. Welcome, Jamie.
Thank you so much for having me.
Outstanding. Well, hey, we got a lot of people that want to know exactly what you guys do it, but probably more importantly, why you do it. So tell me, what made you join Paisley Jade, or better yet, what do you guys do and why did you want to be a part of the team?
So, interesting story. I was actually not looking for a new job. I was working in the industry in the area, and I'm a part of a national organization, NACE, and I'm a part of our local chapter here in Richmond. And I worked on an event here with lots of event professionals and just, networked and built relationships with local vendors. And Paisley Jade has always just kind of had this higher standard. We are specialty rentals. We are really the only company in this Richmond area and really outside the Richmond area until you get to like Northern Virginia that does what we do. So we've always had like a higher standard. People always love what we do. And if you're coming to us, you want to use us. Like, we are definitely not a need, we are a want. And so it's wonderful when clients come to work with us because they've already budgeted for it or they already know what pieces they want to use. So Paisley Jade has always, just had such an excellent track record, and people just love and have great, amazing stories of working with them and employees that worked here. So I was working in the industry and became close with one of the co-owners through NACE, that organization, and they had a position open up. And she reached out to me and was like, hey, we're hiring for a warehouse manager. And I was like, I do not want to go move furniture or drive box trucks. Like, I think you are confused.
Right.
And so she actually took me out for drinks and kind of explained to me the position and how they wanted to grow and expand and where they envisioned the position would go. And I was just like, I cannot turn this down. Like, this is such a great opportunity. Like, would be working for such amazing owners. And like, I've kind of like always idolized them in the industry. So It was almost like a dream come true, kind of being able to work for them. So It was very like spur of the moment, not expected. But also you're like, oh, you chose me. So I've been with the company, I'm coming up on 4 years this summer with the company.
So you guys are a specialty rental company. And I guess for those who are listening, well, what does that mean? What are you guys like, just like mannequins, furniture? Why specialty?
Yeah, so great question. We get it all the time. So we say specialty because we are not your average rental company. So we don't do table linens, glassware, china. We don't have tents in our inventory. And we don't have like your standard Shibari chairs, folding chairs, or the 5-foot round table, 6-foot round tables that just break down. So everything that we have in our inventory, most of it is built in-house, custom built. We have upholstered seating, so you can have lounge areas at your events, pillows, rugs. We do custom backdrops, bars. We do have some tables, but they are like built tables with nice wood or accents that don't require table linens. We do customization. So we also do like vinyl work, decals. We apply wallpaper. So lots of customization to our inventory pieces that really elevate any event. It kind of takes your event above and beyond and adds those final accent pieces that really bring the event to life.
So you referenced event a few times, and I was thinking specialty rentals. So you said the owner took you out for drinks and said, hey, here's our vision. What was that vision? Why do they feel like this is going to be the space that they need to fill, or that somebody needs this space to be filled?
So Morgan and Perkins started this company. It was just the two of them. They had furniture in a storage unit. They had a trailer hooked to the back of their cars, and the two of them would go pick up the inventory and deliver it themselves. So they've really like fully grown this company in 10 years from the two of them to now almost 14 full-time employees. And each year, and as you know, times change and everything, they're trying to see where they can go next. So basically, they had the same warehouse manager since they had started, and that person had decided to leave and go back to school. So they were like, okay, we can use this as an opportunity to shift or see where we can better utilize this area. Whereas the warehouse manager was more hands-on with loading the trucks and delivering rental furniture on site for events and driving the box trucks and really like hands-on physical. And I am not very strong. I mean, I know I look really strong, but I am not strong. So don't let that fool you. So they really were like, okay, we kind of want to take this more as an operational approach than a warehouse approach. And saw that as an opportunity to kind of divide and split into two different positions where there was full ownership. So now as operations manager, yes, I do drive the trucks. Yes, I've loaded trucks. Yes, I've delivered them. I do have my DOT physical. None of this I ever thought I would do, but here I am. So things happen, but I also do all the operations side. So I do the hiring of the crew, the scheduling of the crew. I'm a little bit of HR as well, where we also have a warehouse manager who that person is now pulling all the inventory, doing the inventory checks to make sure things are clean if they need to be touched up. And he oversees the loading and unloading of the trucks to make sure inventory isn't getting damaged when they're coming back from events, or kind of getting that final eye and first eye on all the inventory as it leaves and comes back to the warehouse.
So you being in the position of the operations, manager, or like the COO of the entire organization, you sort of take an ownership like it's actually your baby as well. When you got in there, they said they wanted to make a shift and change how they run the company overall. What do you believe has been the biggest contribution to your success? Or what are some of the lessons that you learned when you first got in there? You said, did you see, okay, this is sort of like raw clay that I get to mold into what I want? What was your biggest contribution that, added to the current success of you being the operations manager?
So I think there's a couple of things at play, just because I have been in the industry and I've done a little bit of everything with offsite catering. I've worked at a venue, I've done wedding planning, I've done lighting and florals, but rentals was a whole new ball game to me. So it definitely was overwhelming at first, just inventory alone, learning all that we carry and all that we offer, but then as well, managing a fleet of trucks and crew, that was all super new. So there were a couple different avenues that, I had to challenge myself with that none of us knew. One of those was that we needed a DOT number and that we needed to register our trucks because we transport our services across the state. And so that was a huge thing that we just recently learned a couple of years ago. And so I was like, all right, here we go. I'm going to go educate myself about DOTs, DOT numbers, and what we need to do, and that we need to get our drivers certified and they do get a physical. And I think the biggest thing, and I am someone who's very thorough. I love a good plan. I love a good SOP. I will make any kind of document you need. The one thing that I will not do is not invest my time to make sure that I understand something. I am always a little hesitant to change, but I won't back down to a challenge or something that is unknown to me. And a lot of this position has been unknown and caused me to learn a lot. So at the same time, I not only get to learn it, but I get to educate my coworkers and my crew that I've hired. And that is honestly one of the biggest rewards. We are very, very big on education and growth here. We are a small team, we are a small business, but we want to make sure that all of our employees are growing to the most of their potential, and we want to help them any way that we can. We offer box truck training courses for our drivers now, which is also part of DOT and things that I learned along the way. We have certifications for our employees. So it's like I get to take on the lead of doing the dirty work and the homework,
Right.
but then I get to turn around and help and watch my coworkers and employees grow,
Right.
which is amazing to see because I got to help them get there.
So with a small company, you know, you guys are growing and you sort of had to jump in there, just knee deep into it and figure it out. And, you know, all of the different avenues that you just described sort of takes a team effort. So there may be people who are listening and saying, hey, how do we grow? How do we, you didn't start the company, but you're really sort of taking it from the ground floor and really helping build the company and grow the company, you know, not just deep, but also wide. What do you think has been essential in building a team, you know, now that you've been doing it for 4 years here, but you've been doing this for 11 years, bringing all your experiences from different places, what has been the most essential, or who has been the most essential team players or team partners in helping you be successful?
So I honestly think, and like you said, I've been in the industry for a while and I've done a few different things. The biggest thing and the biggest game changer for me and here at Paisley and Jade is that our owners, like they come to the employees. We have, you know, touch bases, we check in, like if something doesn't work out or if we go through an event season and we're like, wow, that was really rough. Like, what would have made your job easier? They want to know from the employee themselves. Like, they don't want to say, okay, well, we saw this happen, we're going to go and hire for this position without speaking to anyone else. Like and they are very, very hands-on. Like, they load the trucks, they'll be on site for deliveries. Like, they are not just like sitting in the office, or they're not like at home while someone else is running their office here. Like, everyone is hands-on here, which is wonderful. So the biggest thing is that they want to hear from the employees what would make it better. So myself, I have my warehouse manager who is literally like my right-hand man. I would not be able to do what I do without Dwight. He is my saving grace. Whereas like Morgan, who runs the like operational side as the co-owner, she and I obviously work very, very close together. And then Perkins handles more of like the sales side and is more client facing. So the two co-owners have their two sides. So they kind of see the different sides of the company and they're like, okay, well, I think this might work. But then they come to the employees and say, all right, what makes the most sense?
Right.
So I couldn't do what I do without my warehouse manager.
Right.
But we also couldn't deliver and get our rentals anywhere without our delivery crew manager, who he is the one who is our go-to and is always on site.
Right.
And he is also the one who's training our drivers when we hire them or bring in new crew. He's showing them the ropes outside of the warehouse because they're the ones who are in the trucks and driving all around and delivering. But then we also have our team here who they call themselves the Wood Boys, and they are building the inventory. So if they didn't build the inventory, we wouldn't have anything to sell or to rent. And then Miranda and Perkins handle our sales. And again, if they weren't doing sales, we wouldn't have events. So there's so many moving pieces. And then we have someone who does our customization in-house, like the vinyl and wallpaper. And that's a new position that we just recently brought on after realizing that this past fall and halfway gearing up to the spring, that it was too much for us to handle ourselves, all of us trying to pitch in. We needed someone designated to that specifically. So it's almost like after every event season, we kind of debrief to see like what worked, what didn't work, what avenues were we really struggling with, or where can we move from that so that we don't run into that same roadblock again.
So here's the thing. I think that's interesting. Normally when I'm talking with executives, we're talking about, you know, partners and teams on the outside, attorneys, CPA, advisors and things. But I remember a quote from Stephen Covey. He would say, if you win in the workplace, you can win in the marketplace. And being the operations of so many different teams internally, I think that has to be, you know, challenging, but it looks like, you know, you've worked through and you're involving everybody and everybody wants to be involved and being a part of the team. They often say team, you know, together each achieves more, right? And so, you know, we currently coming out of I guess we're coming out of the phase of COVID where events weren't really happening, but there's always going to be something happening in business, the ups and downs. You've been doing it for 11 years, even outside of here. What do you think has been the key to you guys' success to be able to weather the different storms or economic challenges and things like that? Supply chains for you guys to get what you need, to build what you need. How have you guys been able to overcome that?
So I think one of the biggest things is just assessing and taking it a little bit at a time. One of the biggest things we did was after COVID, with so many postponements, obviously, gas prices are insane right now, and we drive box trucks that require diesel. We travel all over. So we kind of took an approach where, sat down, we raised our order minimums, we raised delivery fees. We also are seeing, obviously, in the wedding and event industry, you have your spring season, you have your busy fall season. We looked at going into having different minimum requirements for those specific months. And so those are higher during those peak seasons. And then outside of that season, our order minimum are not as high, just because the demand is still there, but it's not as much of a demand as it is for end season. Shortages, lumber shortage, all of that was really hard on us. We build most of our inventory in-house. So when wood and lumber was so expensive and you couldn't find it anywhere during COVID, because everybody wanted to renovate their house or DIY because they were stuck and I guess realized they didn't like their houses. That was super hard. So we definitely had to get creative and find alternative materials that we could use. We use a lot of plexiglass. Plexiglass was really hard to find over the last couple of years, and it would take a long time to get in if we needed it. We were not used to having to wait or things be like on back order or take a couple weeks to get in. That also being said, a lot of our inventory, we buy from wholesalers where it could take a couple of weeks, a month, where nowadays you order something and it takes 6 to 8 months to get it.
Wow.
And so we want to introduce new inventory, but you're having to purchase it. And then that's 6 to 8 months that we don't have it in our inventory, and you're not gaining back that revenue on it because we can't rent it yet.
Right.
But I think one of the biggest things, and that really is a testament to the company and the ownership from Morgan and Perkins, is that we are a small company, a small business, and that during COVID, I had so many friends in the industry in the area who were unfortunately furloughed or lost their job due to COVID. And none of us were furloughed or lost our jobs. Morgan and Perkins kept all of us on payroll through COVID the entire time. And as a small business, I just know how hard that is. And it's amazing. It just goes to show that how much as owners they invest and really, really care about their employees. And I think that just speaks volumes, and something that I am super, super grateful for as someone who I was am I going to have a job tomorrow? I don't know what's going on. That was absolutely amazing.
So it sounds like with all the curveballs that have been thrown at you, you guys just sort of had to get bigger bats, and so you've been able to, last through the tough times as well as, excel in the good times. What do you see as the biggest challenges that you guys currently face?
I think right now we're in this kind of gray area where it's time to kind of decide where we want to, continue with the company. We're traveling a lot for events, obviously always across Virginia, but into Maryland, and we go down to North Carolina and West Virginia. And I think, we're trying to see, okay, so do we want to be booking these higher dollar events where we just take 3 events a weekend? But that's great because we're working smarter, not harder. It's bigger dollar events, but that doesn't require as much trucks, as many staff, because we're not going in 14 different directions in one weekend.
Right.
Or do we want to continue to try to do 25 events every weekend and have us in 7 different places one day and 8 different places the next day, and trying to figure out what is the best step that is, the most manageable, and transitioning with the crew we have and how we can get the most potential out of them, or if we're short in one area, what we need to do to fulfill that area to move forward.
Right. So, I mean, based on what you've explained, the culture is awesome there. And I think that's a big part of you guys being able to grow like it is. And I think having everybody be a part of that decision-making process of how are we going to continue to grow, but grow in a smart way and be really efficient with the dollars that we spend as well as the dollars that we receive. Knowing what you know now, 11 years in the business, coming in here on the ground floor and they say, hey, make this your thing. Hey, I'm a process person. I like SOPs and being able to create systems.
All the docs. I love all the docs.
Just from 4 years being in the company, if you had to interview you today, like hire another you, what would you say? Or not even an interview, because you think of it differently. Say if you had to have a conversation with you after you had that drink and the vision, you said, I can't pass up this opportunity. What would you tell yourself, the younger version of you 4 years ago?
I would definitely tell myself, you definitely could not have passed this opportunity up, but it definitely is not what you would have expected it to be. Like this, but in the best way possible. Like I am someone that doesn't handle change very well, but in this industry, you have to change, you have to evolve, or else you'll just get left in the dust. Like trends are always changing. What your clients want are always changing. Like you have to just continue to grow and evolve. And I think that this company in this position 100% has like helped me do that just in my own life as well. Like helped me realize that like nothing is ever going to change if you don't accept it or if you don't grow with it. And like, you need to grow as a person too. So I almost feel like I've grown up like with Paisley Jade the last 4 years. And like, as they've evolved, I've also evolved, because every year after every season, no season is ever going to be the same. Fall season will be different than the spring season. Like we're always changing and trying to move to the next big and exciting thing and trying to stay ahead of trends and be relevant. And I think 4 years ago, I had absolutely no idea like what an impact I could make on my own life, or like really, I mean, I probably would not believe the person I am sitting here today if I was looking at myself from 4 years ago. I'd be like, I don't recognize her.
I think you'd probably say to yourself, hey, buckle up.
Yeah, like you gotta get your big girl pants on because you have no idea what's coming for you.
So I guess, as you guys grow and you're trying to figure out, this gray area where you're going to go, who do you guys see as your ideal client currently?
So ideal client is someone who we repeat clients. We work with a lot of the same planners. We go to a lot of the same venues. One of the biggest advantages that we have from working B2B is not having to explain and educate the sales process. So when we have repeat clients and repeat planners who come, like they already understand, they know our inventory, they understand, how our delivery fees and retrieval fees work, and they're really open to being creative. One of the best parts of what we offer is the customization side. And so having vinyl, having, painting something a certain color, adding wallpaper to pieces, like that's what we want to do. Like we want to create these one-of-a-kind pieces, and we want to just get creative with it on site. And like I said, really elevate and be that final touch for events. Right. And I think having those repeat clients and repeat planners allows us to do that, because not only do like we trust them as a client, but they also really trust us. So we can work together to be super creative and have fun with it as well.
As a business grows, and of course, repeat clients, new clients, the question I often ask, outside of more business or a new client, what do you think? You run this thing on a day-to-day basis. What would be the one thing that you would see that you need that would move the needle in your business outside of more clients?
A bigger and better, more time to build inventory. Really? I mean, just because the more we have, the more we can rent and just like get more creative with it. We have so many new builds like on the books for the summer, while, events are a little slower, but we're just, always thinking of new and exciting things. And I say, I get to like mark pretty things that I like. but I unfortunately don't have the final say on the inventory that we purchased, because they know if I did, I would just buy everything, which is probably why I don't have the final say.
Right.
But honestly, the custom builds, what we build in-house, is what sets us apart. So I think that would just be a total game changer. And if we just had, unlimited resources and unlimited materials that we could just do custom builds all the time,
Right.
it would be a total game changer.
You know what? The energy you just explained that to, one day you might own the company. They say if you love what you do, you never work a day. And it looks like
Exactly.
you're not working a day. You're enjoying it, and all that stuff. So this has been awesome. I really appreciate you taking time and just talking to me, sharing with me. And I wanted to do this interview because we often talk to business owners, but there are people on the inside that keep the ship running. And I thought it was really great to bring a person just like you in here so that the people who are listening, business owners, not only do they know how to run their company, but how to find the right people to help them run their company is really important to have a successful experience. I often tell the business owner, I believe they are the cure for the economy, because they have knowingly or unknowingly decided to be not just a provider for their families, but the provider for other people's families. And you being a part of the family of that organization, I can definitely tell there's a lot of love, there's a lot of teamwork, there's a lot of dreaming, and everybody wants to be successful together. I guess the last thing I would say is there anything else that you would want to say, a business owner and saying, hey, I need to find me an operations manager like that? Is there anything that you want to add or say that I didn't ask, just for those who would be listening?
I think just honestly, the biggest thing is, if you're looking to bring on an operations manager or a warehouse manager, whoever is kind of going to be your number two, the biggest flattery I've ever received is when I was told that Morgan & Perkins basically trusted me with everything. And if the warehouse was on fire and I said that I had it, they would be like, Jamie's got it. And it would be no sweat off their back. And that is the biggest form of flattery. And just knowing that the owners believe in me that much is such a great compliment. And if you're looking to hire and trying to find your number two in your company, you need to find someone that you trust with everything, because you want to be able to 100% trust them so that it's the weight off your shoulder. If it's someone else and you're like, oh, do they really have it? Should I follow up? That's not helping you and taking that responsibility off you as an owner.
I think
find your number two.
That's awesome. When we talk to business owners, it's often about profit and loss, balance sheets, cash flow, and everything. But trust is probably one of the most important currencies that a business owner and a company can have. And it looks like the value you bring based on the trust that they give is making a huge difference in you guys' success. Hey, I thank you so much for being here. Once again, we've been talking with Jamie Adams of Paisley Jade. She is an extraordinary executive. You can tell by her love of what she does. She's passionate for her people. She helps them make a profit, but most importantly, on the events that they put together, they make a difference. So thank you, Jamie, for joining me today.
Thank you.
And hey, guys, join me next week. We'll be talking to another extraordinary executive. I'm Randy Jones. I'll talk to you soon. See ya.
This podcast is for informational purposes only. Guest speakers and their firms are not affiliated with or endorsed by PAS, Guardian, or Financial Growth Partners, and opinions stated are their own. Randy is a registered representative and financial advisor of Park Avenue Securities, LLC, PAS, OSJ 11350 McCormick Road, Suite 202, Hunt Valley, Maryland. 21031-410-828-540. Securities, products, and advisory services offered through PAS, member FINRA SIPC. Financial representative of the Guardian Life Insurance Company of America, Guardian, New York, New York. PAS is a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. Financial Growth Partners is the DBA name of IAPA, LLC, a wholly owned subsidiary of Guardian. 2022 139007 624.